I paid for my brother's wedding and even gifted him a luxury honeymoon package. But as the wedding ended, I overheard him say, "Honestly, I wish he hadn't even come." My parents laughed. "Oh, it's just a joke." I smiled. But when my brother arrived at the airport the next day, he discovered his luxury suite had been changed to a destination he'd never forget. My name is Ethan Carter. I'm 33, and I work as a financial analyst in New York. Good money, long hours, constant pressure. My job pays well enough that I can afford the occasional luxury, not for myself, but for my family. Especially for my younger brother, Daniel. I love that kid. Or at least, I thought I did. I practically raised him. Our parents weren't bad people, just detached. Dad was always working, and Mom lived in her own little world where Daniel could do no wrong. So I stepped in. I bought him his first gaming console when our parents said it was a waste of money. I covered his college tuition so he wouldn't be buried in debt. When he wrecked his car at 22, I got him a new one because he needed it for work. And when he and his fiancée, Emily, started planning their dream wedding, I didn't hesitate. I covered the entire thing: venue, catering, flowers, live music, everything. And as a wedding gift, I booked them a week-long honeymoon in the Maldives, complete with a private villa, first-class flights, and a personal butler. Because that's what big brothers do, right? I was exhausted after months of working extra hours to make it all happen, but seeing Daniel happy made it worth it. At least, I thought it did. Until the end of the wedding. It happened by accident. The reception was winding down. Guests were leaving, and I stepped outside to get some air. That's when I heard Daniel's voice from the other side of the patio. "Honestly, I wish he hadn't even come." I froze. Then Emily laughed. "Oh, come on. Don't be mean." "I'm serious," Daniel said. "He just throws money around like it makes him part of the family. It's embarrassing." Mom's voice chimed in. "Oh, sweetheart, don't be cruel. He just wants to feel important. You know how he is." Dad chuckled. "Well, at least he's useful for something." And then they all laughed. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I wanted to step out and confront them, but I couldn't move. It wasn't just what Daniel had said. It was how casual it was. Like this wasn't new. Like they'd been saying things like this for years. Maybe they had. A memory flashed in my mind. Daniel at 16, playing a brand new Xbox I'd saved up for months to buy him. "This is the wrong one," he'd said, frowning at the box. "Jake's got the elite version. You should have asked me first." Another one, him at 20, taking the keys to the car I'd bought after he totaled his first one. "At least it's not a Prius," he'd muttered, already texting someone about it. And another, him at 25, drunk at a family dinner, laughing with our cousins. "Ethan's great, man. He's like a rich uncle who doesn't have kids. Just throw money at him, and he'll buy you whatever you want." I had laughed along with them back then. Told myself he didn't mean it, that it was just a joke. But standing there, outside his wedding, hearing them all laugh at me like I was some pathetic, desperate fool, it hit different. I should have walked away, should have let it go. But I didn't. Because Daniel and Emily were getting on a plane tomorrow morning. And the honeymoon I had gifted them? That was something I could still change. And trust me, I did. I don't know how long I stood outside, gripping the doorway like it was the only thing holding me up. Their laughter still rang in my ears, their words looping over and over in my head. "Honestly, I wish he hadn't even come. He just wants to feel important. At least he's useful for something." The worst part? No one disagreed. I swallowed the lump in my throat and forced my feet to move. I couldn't stand outside like a fool forever. I had to go back in, had to smile, had to play my role one last time. Inside, the reception was still in full swing. People danced, drank, laughed. The band played some upbeat pop song that a group of bridesmaids was singing along to. It was as if the air outside hadn't just been filled with the sound of my family mocking me. And then I saw him, Daniel, the golden child, my baby brother, the one I had spent my whole life looking out for. The second his eyes landed on me, his whole face lit up. "Ethan, there you are, man." He strode over and threw an arm around my shoulder, reeking of expensive whiskey and celebration. "Dude, I was just telling Emily, you are the best brother ever. Seriously, man, I don't know what I'd do without you." His grin was wide, his eyes glassy from the alcohol, but his words were smooth, practiced, like he had said them a million times before. And maybe he had, every time he needed something. "Bro, you gotta help me." Just a couple months, I swear. You're the best, man. Seriously. But this time, it didn't land the same way. Because now I knew the truth. I forced a smile. Of course, man. Anything for you. I almost choked on the words. See? That's why I tell people I've got the best brother in the world. Daniel laughed, his grip on my shoulder tightening as he turned to Emily. Isn't he the best, babe? Emily smiled, too, but I noticed how she avoided my eyes. Maybe she felt guilty. Maybe she didn't care. It didn't matter. I just needed to get through the night. I let Daniel gush about how grateful he was. I let him toast to me in front of his friends. I let our parents smile at me like I was fulfilling my role perfectly. But inside, something was shifting. For the first time, I didn't feel like his brother. I felt like a fool. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Honestly, I wish he hadn't even come. I turned onto my side, eyes burning. He just throws money around like it makes him part of the family. I clenched my fists under the blankets. At least he's useful for something. I forced myself to sit up. My pulse pounded in my ears. Enough. I reached for my phone. I opened our family group chat, scrolling through years of messages. At first glance, it all seemed normal, pictures from birthdays, holiday plans, random updates. But the more I looked, the more I noticed the pattern. Every conversation was transactional. Daniel, Ethan, can you cover my flight home for Christmas? I'm short this month. Mom, sweetheart, Daniel's car needs repairs. You're doing so well. Could you help? Dad, your brother and Emily really want a big wedding. I told them you'd be happy to contribute. No, how are you? No, thanks for everything. Just requests. Demands, even. And I had always said yes. Because that's what big brothers do, right? I closed my eyes and let my mind wander back through the years. I was 14 when Daniel was born. I still remember the day Mom and Dad brought him home. He was this tiny, wrinkled thing, and I remember promising him, right then and there, that I'd always take care of him. And I did. When our parents were too busy, I was the one who helped him with homework. When he scraped his knee, I was the one who carried him home. When he wanted the latest sneakers in high school, I worked extra shifts at my part-time job to get them for him. And he knew it. Ethan will do it, Mom would say whenever Daniel needed something. And I always did. Even when he started taking it for granted. Like the time he wrecked his first car. He had been reckless, speeding on a rainy night. The insurance payout barely covered the damage, and he called me in a panic. Bro, you gotta help me. I can't ask Mom and Dad. Dad will kill me. So I bought him another car. A used one, but still reliable. His response? At least it's not a Prius. I should have been angry. But I laughed it off, convinced myself he was just embarrassed, that he appreciated it deep down. Then there was the time he needed money for an apartment deposit. Dude, I swear I'll pay you back. Just a couple months, I promise. That was 4 years ago. I never saw a dime. I let it slide. Because that's what big brothers do. But the wedding? That was supposed to be different. This wasn't some last-minute favor. This was me giving him the wedding of his dreams, something he and Emily wouldn't have been able to afford on their own. I had worked extra hours. I had turned down vacations. I had done everything I could to make sure they had the perfect day. And still, it wasn't enough. I wasn't family to them. I was a wallet with a heartbeat. And for the first time, I saw it for what it was. I checked the time, 3:42 a.m. Daniel and Emily's flight was in 6 hours. I opened my laptop. If I was just a wallet to them, then it was time to close the account. I sat alone in my apartment, the glow of my laptop screen illuminating the room. The reservation details were right in front of me, the cursor blinking over the edit button. Daniel and Emily's flight was in just 6 hours. I had never been a petty person. But this was different. I clicked on the honeymoon package I had originally booked for them, a private overwater villa in the Maldives, complete with a personal butler, first-class service, and an all-inclusive gourmet dining experience. It was a dream trip, the kind of luxury that most people could only fantasize about. I hovered over the cancellation option, but that felt too easy. Leaving them stranded with no honeymoon at all would be a disappointment. Sure, but I wanted something they would never forget. I scrolled through the available lodging options, looking for something that would make an impact. Then I found it. Same island. Completely different experience. A rustic beach adventure package. Instead of a luxury villa, they'd be staying in a shared beachside camping hut. No air conditioning, no private pool, no staff catering to their every whim. A mosquito net would be their only protection from the elements. Communal bathrooms. Cold showers. No Wi-Fi. Just the authentic islander experience, as the resort described it. I clicked Modify Reservation. Their first-class flights remained the same. I wanted them to step off that plane expecting paradise. And then, reality would hit. The airport send-off. The next morning, I arrived at JFK Airport under the pretense of seeing them off. Emily greeted me with an overly sweet smile, while Daniel clapped me on the back. "Man, I still can't believe you pulled this off," he said, shaking his head. "The best wedding gift ever. You're a legend, bro." Emily leaned in with a smug expression. I told Daniel he's lucky to have such a generous brother. You know, not everyone would go all out like this. I just smiled. "Well, you guys deserve the best." They had no idea. As we walked toward the security gate, Daniel kept rambling about how amazing the resort was supposed to be. "Did you see the pictures? That infinity pool? And the villa, bro. Right over the water. Gonna be insane." Emily nudged him playfully. "I just hope we get a good butler. My friend Claire said the staff makes all the difference." "Oh, I'm sure it'll be unforgettable," I said. I gave them both a hug and waved them off as they disappeared through security. The moment they were out of sight, I turned around and walked out of the airport. I already knew that my phone would be buzzing soon. The arrival, reality hits. I was in the middle of dinner when I got the first message. "Daniel, what? Hey, mess." I grinned and took another bite of my steak. "Daniel, where is the villa? Why are we in some kind of hostel on the beach? There's no air conditioning, dude." I let the message sit for a few minutes before picking up my phone. Then another one came in. "Emily, Ethan, there must be some kind of mistake. The receptionist said this is our reservation. There are other people in the hut next to us. I can hear them snoring." I put my phone down and leaned back, picturing it all. Daniel, standing there in his designer vacation outfit, sweat beading on his forehead as he realized there was no butler, no champagne on arrival, just a rickety wooden shack with a fan that barely worked. Emily, absolutely horrified, clutching her expensive designer handbag while trying to process that she would be showering in cold, salted water and sleeping in a bamboo bed with a thin mattress. I imagined her looking around at the other guests, budget travelers, backpackers, couples in their 40s wearing cargo shorts and flip-flops, laughing at the idea of roughing it. Not exactly the high society honeymoon she had envisioned. "Daniel, bro, are you kidding me? Call the resort. Fix this." I took a sip of my wine, set my phone to silent, and enjoyed the best meal I'd had in weeks. They had laughed at me. Now, I was the one laughing. I woke up the next morning to 13 missed calls. Daniel, Emily, even my mother. The group chat was a war zone. "Daniel, call me. Now." "Emily, Ethan, what did you do?" "Mom, Ethan, whatever happened with your brother's honeymoon, you need to fix it. This is unacceptable." "Dad, your brother is calling me nonstop. Fix this mess." I stretched, yawning, feeling more rested than I had in years. Then, just as I was about to put my phone down, a video came through from Daniel. I clicked it. The screen loaded to a shaky, dimly lit recording. The camera was flipping between Emily, who was on the verge of a breakdown, and Daniel, who looked ready to kill someone. "I cannot believe this." Emily screeched, her voice high-pitched and raw. "There is sand everywhere. I can't sleep like this. There are bugs in the bathroom. Daniel, fix this." Daniel turned the camera to his sweaty, sunburned face. "Ethan, call me. You better have a really good explanation for this." The video cut off. I couldn't stop myself. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the bed. This was better than I could have ever planned. The call from hell. By noon, I figured I had tortured them enough. I finally picked up when Daniel called again. "What, Ethan?" Daniel's voice was pure rage. "Where's our honeymoon suite? Where's the butler? Why are we stuck in whatever this place is?" I took a deep breath, keeping my tone calm. "Oh, I thought you wanted the authentic experience." Silence. Emily's voice cut in from the background. "This is not funny, Ethan. We are sleeping on what is basically a wooden plank. The restaurant is a beach shack. I had to eat grilled fish off a paper plate. Do you know how humiliating this is?" I grinned. "Humiliating? Oh, you mean like he just throws money around like it makes him part of the family? Or at least he's useful for something?" Silence. "Yeah," I continued, letting my words sink in. "I heard everything, Daniel. You, Mom, Dad. I was just some useful fool to you all, wasn't I?" Daniel exhaled sharply. "Bro, come on, it was just a joke. You know we didn't mean it." I almost laughed again. Sure, Danny. Just like this is just a joke. Emily groaned. Okay, you made your point. Now fix it. I let out a mock sigh. I would love to help. But, well, my money's just for feeling important, remember? I wouldn't want to embarrass you again. Daniel screamed in frustration and the call cut off. I sat back, exhaling. It felt good. Really good. The parents get involved. That evening, I got a call from Mom. I let it ring 3 times before picking up. Ethan, she started in that clipped, scolding voice she always used when I wasn't doing what she wanted. I don't know what kind of stunt you pulled, but your brother and Emily are devastated. Do you have any idea how much stress you've caused? I leaned back. More or less than being mocked at his wedding after paying for everything? Mom sighed like I was the one being difficult. It was just a misunderstanding, sweetheart. You took it too personally. I clenched my jaw. There it was. The same gaslighting. The same excuse-making. The same Ethan, you're overreacting nonsense they've been feeding me for years. I'm done, Mom, I said flatly. Daniel is learning what it feels like to be taken for granted. Consider it a lesson. She huffed. So that's it? You're just going to let your brother and his wife suffer? I snorted. Suffer? You mean staying at a fully functional beachside resort on a tropical island? Sounds like a dream, Mom. Ethan, she snapped. We raised you better than this. I finally let the mask drop. No, Mom. You raised me to be your family's personal ATM. And I'm finally closing the bank. I ended the call before she could respond. Daniel's last-ditch effort. 2 days later, I got another call. Daniel. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the best of me. Ethan, his voice was strained. Defeated. Look, man, you win. Okay? I raised an eyebrow. Do I? He sighed. I shouldn't have said those things at the wedding. We shouldn't have laughed at you. I messed up. I get it now. I waited, letting the silence stretch. Then he cleared his throat awkwardly. So, can you at least help us move to a better place? I'll pay you back, bro, I swear. I smirked. Like how you were supposed to pay me back for your college tuition. Your car? The apartment deposit. Daniel didn't answer. I leaned forward. Here's the deal, Danny. You figure this out yourself. If you want luxury, pay for it yourself. Otherwise, enjoy your authentic island experience. Ethan, come on, he shouted. But I was already hanging up. Aftermath. The breaking point. Daniel and Emily finished their honeymoon exactly where they started, on that beach, swatting mosquitoes, eating cheap grilled fish, and seething with rage. By the time they got back, I had already blocked Daniel, Emily, and even my parents on social media. Then I got the last message I'd ever received from my mother. Mom, if you keep acting like this, you're going to lose your family. I looked at the text for a long moment before finally typing back. Me, I think I already did. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I hit send. Then, for the first time in my life, I felt free. 2 weeks had passed since Daniel and Emily's disastrous honeymoon. The calls had stopped. The texts had dried up. My family's desperate attempts to guilt me into fixing their problems had finally ceased. And for the first time in years, my life was quiet. I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first. There was an odd emptiness where all the stress used to be. No more late-night messages from Daniel asking for money. No more passive-aggressive guilt trips from Mom. Just silence. But then I realized that emptiness wasn't loneliness. It was peace. A new beginning. Without my family constantly draining me, I finally started doing things for myself. I booked a vacation. For me. A real one. Not a sacrifice. Not a gift for someone else. But something just because I wanted it. I spent 10 days in Italy, exploring the streets of Rome, eating pasta at sunset, and drinking wine without worrying about anyone else's problems. It felt surreal at first. The idea that I didn't have to answer to anyone, that no one had a claim over my time or money anymore. Then, one evening, as I sat in a tiny cafe in Florence, watching the sun dip behind the rooftops, it hit me. I had spent my entire life being the good son, the good brother, the one who fixed everything, paid for everything, put everyone else first. And what had it gotten me? Disrespect, manipulation, betrayal. Now, I was free. Daniel's last attempt. I hadn't heard from Daniel since our last call. But one afternoon, as I was going through my emails at work, his name popped up on my phone. I stared at it for a long moment. Then, against my better judgment, I answered. Ethan. Daniel's voice was hesitant. He sounded different. What do you want? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. He exhaled. Look, man, I know I screwed up. I didn't say anything. I wasn't going to make this easy for him. I was terrible, he continued. Emily too. And, Mom, Dad. I get it now. I raised an eyebrow. Do you? He let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, I do. Because ever since you cut us off, I finally see how much you actually did for us. I leaned back in my chair. Must be hard when your walking ATM isn't available anymore, huh? Daniel sighed. I deserve that. I waited. After a long pause, his voice softened. I miss my brother. I felt something tighten in my chest. It was the first real, genuine thing I'd heard from him in years. For a moment, I almost caved. Almost told him that I missed him too. But then I remembered everything. The wedding. The laughter behind my back. The years of being used. And I realized, I didn't know him anything. I took a deep breath. Daniel, I don't know if we'll ever be okay again. Silence. But if you really get it now, then prove it. Not with words. With actions. Daniel swallowed hard. Yeah. Okay. I hung up. I didn't block his number. But I didn't reach out either. Some bridges weren't meant to be rebuilt. Final closure. A few weeks later, I got a message from an unknown number. Emily. It was short. Cold. Congrats. You got what you wanted. Hope you're happy. I stared at it for a moment before deleting it. I did get what I wanted. Peace. And for the first time in my life, I was truly happy.